Oh, Lord Jesus. Okay. All right. What's good, everybody? Welcome to Truspace. I'm your astrologer, Open Book, and let's break down this Venus transit because with Venus going through Scorpio, there's even a tarot card for this transit too, and it's very accurate to what's going on because with Venus and Taurus in its home, where it was before, we were focusing on, we were assessing the value of what we had, the things that we had in the immediate vicinity, the things that we could use right then and there, you know what I mean? The tools that we had about us to go and bring about something. Now with Venus 180 degrees away in Scorpio, it's about what you want. Now the focus is on what you desire, the things that you want to have. And just like with the tarot card, the Seven of Cups, it's showing you multiple possibilities of things that could come up based off of your desires, based off of the things that you want, connecting to the deepest aspects of you, your desires, the things that you, this is not what you're trying to put up to the world or what you're supposed to want, but the things that you generally hold deep in you that you desire, you know? You're seeing a bunch of different things. The difference with this transit is that with Venus and Taurus, you're dealing with what you have and what you can bring about about with what you have. But when you're dealing with Venus and Scorpio, you're dealing about your desired things. Once you're already starting to get away, once you're starting to get into the second half of the zodiacs, you start getting into more collective type mindsets, more social type mindsets, less individual first base, and it's more collective first, and then individual, then it goes internal, because of that second half dynamic, because it's a snowball effect, whereas they keep on Pisces as a collection of all of the other signs, you know what I mean? That's kind of how it's a tumble roll, or each one progresses into the other ones. But in Scorpio, not only are you going to be desiring, you're the one who's going to be desired. And it's the true aspects of you. And it's you when you stand in your truth, and when you're just walking out and being you, when you're not afraid to be vulnerable, and you're just showing yourself in your pure state, you know, not feeling like you have to go and prove and justify everything. When you're in that state of being, everything's just coming, coochie's just being thrown at you. That's Venus and Scorpio, because that's what people want, that, or that's where the desires are being placed, or that's where harmony is being brought to, or where you can find the most assistance, where Venus is pushing her power, her influence into that area of life. And if you aren't in integrity, this is the time to give death to those things. If there is something preventing you from being your authentic self, that is preventing you from being on the world stage, because once you go into Sagittarius, you're going into the world stage. Sagittarius is ascension. So it's being brought to the next stage. And then Capricorn, it's bam, you have to have it settled. You're building a foundation. That's why it has that, that's why it's Capricorn. That's why it's that Saturn energy, because you're building a foundation at that point. Um, so, and Scorpio, with Venus and Scorpio, that's your chance to let go of the pleasures and desires that weren't serving you. That is your chance to, you see and starting to desire all of these images and stuff like that. But when you're going into the global stage, are these mirages, are these fantasies, you know, are these based off of, you know, possibilities that are going on here that are actually possible? See, that's the difference, because everybody tries to point at things that don't manifest to their benefit, to try and discredit how we create our own reality. But it's kind of nitpicking, and it's always in the subtle, it's the subtle ways that we subtly create our reality for ourselves. And it is so easy to dive into that realm of reality. That's that mist energy. That's when we're talking about water type signs, for it to be a mirage, for it to not be real, or not necessarily not to be real, but you're diving in feelings and emotions, or they're kind of getting mixed and scrambled and not being looked at for actually what it is. You can go hella deep into whatever feeling and emotion that you can really dive into, but how are you using it? And this is the energy that is going to be wasted or siphoned, or what's going to dive you into using that inverted negative side of Venus into that energy, if you're not willing to give death to those things so that you can walk in authenticity, giving the death thing so you can transform, and then you jump into the experience and you're saying, this is my moral system, this is what I think, and this is the wisdom that I had based off of the astral travel that I went through. So these are my refined values, because we're talking about Venus and values, self-worth, ways of connecting with people. That's what we're talking about. So yeah, that being in Scorpio, so it's also you who's going to be desired, and it's going to be the real you. It's going to be the you when you are in fucking sweats and fucking hair is nappy as shit, and you don't really give a fuck. You have crust in your eye and boogers coming out your nose, and you may even lick it a little bit, that type of shit. But your partner somehow still, or niggas still be trying to go after you. It's that type of shit. It's that type of sauce, and that's the type of energy that cannot be replicated. And it's interesting because been a lot of awareness, or there's a lot of awareness and uniqueness that is added into this transit because Uranus is opposite. So it's already adding that unconventional aspect of their not being a traditional value system anymore, or at least the traditional value system is being shaken up. So with Venus and Scorpio, you can actually desire, or the traditional values and what was known to be stable before is under construction. It's under change. So the normal things that would kind of snap you out of the illusions aren't there anymore. Or maybe there are a new set of worries that are going to snap you out from even desiring in the first place, from you even placing it in your mind of wanting to desire. It's not bad to go and desire, but you have to make, or to be in this energy with Venus and Scorpio, but you have to be using it in a way that is benefiting you. Otherwise, you'll be getting washed up under the current, or at least you will be unaware of the decisions that you make. And then when you're wondering why certain things are manifesting, it's because you weren't conscious in those moments. You weren't assessing the energy of the current moment and deciding, what you wanted to get out of it, or what was best for you to put in the situation. You kind of let things push you and let things move you, making you a victim to energy, making you being a vessel to create a reality that is not of your own, that is based off of external influences and not what you have that desire inside to create. So that's that illusion that you can fall into with Scorpio and Venus, and it's going to be hard to get through that. But as long as you at least acknowledge and bring light, and try to transform or transmute into a more positive version, the energy of the things that are holding you back from really being in your value, from really expressing yourself and connecting with people the way that you should, and the way that you want to. Yeah. And then let's take a look at the fucking alignments that will be going on. From the beginning of Venus and Scorpio, we have Venus over here. From the beginning, it was coming into this square with Saturn. So already it was kind of like there was friction in what you desired. Already there was friction in terms of what um the collective was moving to, or what is stable, what is practical right now is more of that self-sacrificing energy. It's that forward thinking, innovative type energy. We're thinking of new ideas, how to push things forward. How do we add to the collective mind? How do we sacrifice the individual, our individual self, for the good of the collective? That's what Saturn's step on right now, being in Aquarius. So with Venus going in Scorpio, doing that 90-degree square with it, when you're desiring, when you're pushing out your values to go and desire, and to establish deeper connections with these values, to see what you want to start, what you want to ascend to in Sagittarius, and experience and build knowledge and wisdom on, and what you want to lay a foundation in and get serious in fucking Capricorn. And this is dealing with relationships, and this is dealing with money, this is dealing with all of the things sex. And when I say all of the things sex, that's what we're dealing with when we're talking about Venus and Mars. But here's the difference. Just like how it's kind of funny how it reflects men and women too. But um with Venus, it's more about the essence of sex, or the meaning behind it. It's about the foreplay that leads up to the sex. That's Venus. It's the sensuality. It's the touching. It's the being close. It's all of the things that are attached to it. It's not the actual act. That's where Mars comes in. Mars is about fucking. Mars is about sticking it in, getting it done, and getting out. Doing what needs to be done. A masculine type energy. And it's funny how that's how niggas act. No, their shit is straight, direct, and to the point. And when they're done doing what they're doing, it's recharge for the next time. Meanwhile, it takes women a while to get going. But once they get going, it's like an insatiable machine that can keep on going on and on and on and on. So it's funny how we reflect that energy already. But with that square, already it's like, nope, you can't desire that. Oh no, you can't desire that. That's not um what we're all supposed to be thinking of. That's not contributing to the collective mind, or that's too individualistic, or that's too emotional. You're diving too deep into that. We need to move forward, so we can't go deep into the meaning and reasoning of things. We can't go into the depths and figure out emotionally how we came to this understanding and feeling. We're trying to move things forward. We're trying to build something. We're trying to be innovative. We're trying to move to the collective. We're trying to not get emotional. We're trying to control the water, trying to control our emotions, not actually get into them and dive them and feel them. Or that's actually what's practical right now, and that's what seems stable, because that's where Saturn's developed. And that in itself is already creating this its own square with Uranus. But besides that, moving on with the transit, we have Venus over here going on and then the opposition with Uranus. And then alignment comes up. Yes. See, by the 25th, 26th, it starts making soft aspects, but then it creeps up on the 29th, I believe, and it makes an exact trine with Neptune. And this is good and bad at the same time, in terms of just the same type deal aspect. If you're walking within your truth, it's just creating crazy type of magnetism that is coming into your life. With this type of energy, with Neptune and Pisces, that type of intuitive boost, Neptune in its home in Pisces, all sitting there all comfortable in its seat, getting to be as delusional as it wants to be. If you don't have some type of control of your spirituality, most people, your power as a spirit is your faith, belief, and creativity. Most people direct that energy into somebody else. Their faith, they don't believe in themselves. They don't have faith in themselves that they can go and do this, that. But they do have, they let Jesus take the wheel. Not even Jesus. It will be Jesus. It'll be the fucking government. It'll be fucking doctors. It'll be fucking the lawyer. It'll be fucking whoever the fuck ever, part of an establishment, part of a conglomerate that you are placing at a higher level than you, that you are giving authority of some type of expert that you are exalting, giving them knowledge, not diving into it in yourself type deal. You would be directing faith in an opposite direction outside of you. Not saying that these are bad innately, but if in all of these situations your faith is going out to other places, when is the faith going into you, and what control, how and where are you directing faith within your life and within your capabilities? If it's always going out external, then that's where your spiritual energy is going. Belief. What do you believe would happen? Do you believe if something were to happen to you, if you were to have a vision, would you believe it? If it was something that was far out there, would you dismiss it? Would you look for a scientific explanation or something like that? If you had an intuitive feeling, would you Google it, see if somebody else said it? Or would you sit with that emotion and see what it means, that type of thing? So what are you putting your belief in? What are you allowing to believe? What you think is real and what is not real? Most people would know that lies are being told, but then don't think that what they were told was a lie, So what are you believing? Did you come up with that idea, or was that something that was kind of pushed on you based on your environment? And this is what I'm talking about with our energy, where it's not being put in the right places. And this is what causes alignments like this to get you the fuck out of this just realm of reality, of physicality, and shift your spaceship off into some next la la land. And that's this whole transit. Neptune and Pisces has been the media tripping the fuck out. Just smoke and mirrors, lies, fucking illusions on top of illusions, just trying to get people sucked into that, trying to get everybody's faith again, trying to direct everybody's spiritual energy and belief. If it doesn't come on the news, if it doesn't get certain check marks by certain platforms, it is not believed, it's not verified. Meanwhile, they're just putting up mirages. It's literally not verified if it doesn't have a specific look, if it doesn't have a specific check. But when you reach out to go and touch it, it fucking disappears into your hand. Yet the ugly shit that they says that is not good for you is actually there. You can fucking touch it. You can poke on the ugly shit and that shit's there. Because it's actually, that shit's real. Well, but the shit you are trying to replace, or that's the shit that's trying to be ignored. But this alignment can really prevent you from stepping into that level of authenticity by strengthening the ability for you to get caught up on illusions, for you to get caught up on things that aren't real, or for you to get heavily influenced by the emotions of the collective, but what other people think, that's what will stop you from having that magnetism and drawing people in. You're afraid that they might see your vulnerabilities, forgetting that everybody has vulnerabilities and everybody has weak points. And that's also what makes people dynamic characters and what makes them likable. A lot of people's negative traits are actually the things that people end up loving. So that's why I hate when people say, oh, I have this bad thing, or I'm like this, or people don't like me because of it's like I met assholes who make friends like it's nothing, because they're just authentically assholes, and people respect that authenticity. It's authenticity, it's audacity more than actual delivery and skill. 99% of the time. 99% of the time. a nigga's just saying, if he can pretend or act like it, and you can't even really knock that type of shit, because where is his spiritual energy being directed? Into his goddamn self, and he's believing it, whether it's based off illusions and stuff. See, this is where that positive energy could go. So it's not bad to be delusional, but it's where are you putting that energy? It's not delusion. It's not delusion. It's spirituality. Yeah, it's not delusion. It's just you moving as a spirit. It's your internal realm that is read or move through images and feelings and vibrations. That's how it works. You're experiencing it. And that's what that whole transit is about. But it would also connect you to that higher level, letting you know what it state of being that you want to be in, and really letting you visualize it and really strengthen that esoteric GPS. If you're not giving all your energy to external things and you're allowing yourself to authentically dream and paint the landscapes of the states of beings that you generally want to be in, and allowing them to take the shapes and forms and images of the actual opportunities that are presenting themselves in your lives, and you're looking at the actual things in your lives and situations that you're actually going to live out, and you're visualizing them playing out in beneficial ways and shit like that. Now that's how you use that fucking energy. Now that's how you use your imagination. That's how you manifest and visualize and start using real magic and putting things in your life. Because now you're putting all of the intent and internal energy back and behind it. Now it's whole. Now it has the positive and negative chart. Now it's charged. That type of deal. So now you're able to make change. You're able to make change because you created a current. See. But yeah. Anyways, and then you're coming into the fucking square with Pluto. Not square, the fucking trine. Where's Pluto? Pluto and Cap. A sextile. So what the Pluto and Cap, it's already kind of transforming societal structure. So already right now in Scorpio, you're planting the seeds of the values that you're going to express, and deepening your connections with the values that you eventually want to settle and build a foundation in Capricorn. So this sextile, the transformation that societal structure is already going through, is kind of giving you the keys to desire. It's already going through that structural change. So it's providing the landscape where, yes, now it is time for you to desire. What do you want? Things are changing and taking a new shape and form after being transformed. So definitely do visualize what it is that you desire. You're able to bring these things from that higher, more energetic realm into the physical realm now, within that time, or it's like a gateway with that alignment, or is allowing you. So don't get fixated on old societal structure or where things are going, or what you used to be trying to, or what you used to want and it's not there anymore, or what things were like before. No, look at now. What do you want now? How is society transforming, and what do you want out of that? And how do you want that to look? What values are you carving out of this transformation that you're seeing? What things do you want to perpetuate, and what things do you want to give death to? That's what the sextile is helping you figure out during that transit. Yeah. And then, yeah, it kind of wraps up, starting to make a little opposition with the North Node, which is crazy, which is God's way, which is the path pointing towards destiny and where we would all be moving. The North Node and South Node, if you don't know, are like mathematical points. They're not actual planets and stuff like that, but they're mathematical points based off of where an eclipse would be in the sign, in the sky. at this current moment. If that it's the path, ecliptic path of the sun and the path of the moon, and it's just their paths. And when where those paths would intersect based on where they are, we call that the north node and the south node. And the north node represents destiny, God's way, where you are destined to go, an area of discomfort, but it's a something that you need to learn. And then the south node is or natural talents, an area of comfortability, but something that you can get stuck in and too comfortable in and lost in, and actually begin to hold you back. It's kind of like past life, next life type deal. But yeah, so talked about those alignments, but oh yeah, Venus also squares Jupiter. So kind of forgot about that alignment. And that kind of happens right before um or right after the Saturn one on the 30th. But this is with Jupiter, it's kind of on the same deal like what I was talking about with Saturn, in terms of we are expanding into that more of that mindset and developing moral systems and developing wisdom and going through experiences of traveling through the collective mind, of experiencing the collective mind, of experiencing what it means to sacrifice or individuality, what it means to join a collective, what it means to have to join collectives on that level, to be a part of large social groups. And that kind of warps what your desires are, because now the influence of outside can get in and distort the intention or purity that you are getting in with it from the outset. So it could be the moral systems that you would be developing or influenced by outside factors that are stopping you from giving energy to your true desires and from being authentic into yourself. All right. So fucking Venus through the signs. I mean, Venus through the houses. So if you have Venus traveling Venus and Scorpio traveling through your first house, then this means that you are bringing this type of magnetism to your personality. Your personal appearance is going through a transformation, and you probably look on a whole different level, or there's something about you that is changing physically that can actually be seen, and it's kind of putting you in a vulnerable state. But the more that you honor that, and because it's all on the surface, this is what you're presenting to the world. So this is a tough or at least an awkward alignment, because it's not necessarily something that you want to show to the world at large, but it's happening in an area that you are supposed to be showing the world at large. So it's kind of like you have to roll with the dice that you were given, and now that this is what it is, walk with it and watch everything, all of the desires and the potential outcomes that actually were of to your benefit. Watch how they just start magnetically attracting themselves to you once you start walking with authenticity, once you start allowing your vulnerability to show on your sleeve and not being trying to hide it, or allow your desires to show. And everybody's always afraid. They're like, oh, I'm showing my trump card or and stuff like that. But that's how you manifest. That's how you bring things into your life. So that's the dynamic you're gonna have to be struggling with, or what you're gonna have to be trying to bring out. If you have Venus and Scorpio traveling through your second house. So if you have it traveling through your second house, then you're bringing a lot of magnetism to the things that you actually have physically in your life. So I guess you would be, since we're talking about the second house, which is your finances and your actual possessions, it looks like you're bringing a lot of magnetism to what you actually have and looking at what you desire. Maybe there's this type of comparison aspect that is going on based off of what you desire and what you have. If you don't have what you desire, you may be getting a little bit lost and disconnect with the things that you actually have, and not see the true value of it because you're getting lost in the illusions of the things that you want. Make sure to not get into that energy. It's not that you're supposed to give up on that desire, but don't let a new desire diminish old values without just cause, you know? Just because it's newer, or it's presenting itself, or at the time it looks like it's more beneficial, you know, that may be something that you have to give death to, or maybe it is something that you do have that is feeding a desire and you have to give death to it. That would be the type of struggle that you'd be going with this transit going through your second house. If you have Venus traveling through Scorpio in your third house, that would mean that this is happening in your surroundings. So you're kind of deepening your connection with your surroundings, and um, what you have around you, kind of seeing what you want, noticing the desires that you have to be in your immediate environment, the things that you want to talk about, the things that you want to have in your mind. You're starting to deeply connect with these things. And the more you open them or incorporate it into your environment, the more authentic you're going to feel, the more you're going to start to transform into the type of thing that you want to be, because it's being reflected into your reality. So that's the struggle that you're going to be going with, and mitigating your desires and how you want to transform your surroundings, your environment, and make it in a way that is authentic to you and your beneficial desires, the ones that where you're stepping into your authenticity and you're actually going to start to magnify the things in your life that you want. If you have Venus traveling through Scorpio in your fourth house, then um, this is traveling through an area of life where it's dealing with comfort and kind of like how you feel, and home in domestic type issues. So you're seeing what you desire to make you comfortable, what you desire your home life to be, your environment and domestic life to be, where you're comfortable, where you get to take your shoes off and relax, you know, and get to be in your true state of being, where you get to be a little bit vulnerable. If you have Venus traveling through this house, you're starting to really notice desire the things that are bringing you comfortable, or that are bringing you comfort, to the things that you can keep around you, things that you can truly care about, that allow you to nurture them. But make sure that these things are bringing out the beneficial side of this transit, aka that they're not bringing out illusions. It's not a possibility of comfortability that you are desiring that is not actually tangible within your life. You have to be able to actually produce these things. Or that's what Venus will kind of trick you into thinking that this is a possibility, or I want this, go and have this. But you can't actually have that. You're not in a position. Now you're sour and upset, or now you can't be comfortable, or now you feel vulnerable and exposed, or now you're emotional and get into that emotional outburst. Don't let it get to that point, you know. Um, you know, if you can if you can take action and see yourself playing out those things and they're happening, all for it, all for it, go for it. But once it starts getting into the hoopla realm and you're not dealing with things that you can actually do and actual possibilities, you're getting washed under the current. If you have Venus traveling through Scorpio in your fifth house, then the fifth house, we're dealing with entertainment and fun and enjoyment, romanticism, children and fun, you know, kind of like that childlike desire to just express yourself, creatively express yourself, to be an individual, you know, to utilize that creative expression, to utilize being an individual, you know, to going on and doing things and trying to create things and being things and doing things to see what it means to be an individual, that type of aspect. This is what you're starting to desire, or you're starting to see desires of things that you want to creatively express. You're starting to desire things of fun and enjoyment, things that you can really jump into, things that can really hold your intention and bring you joy, something that you can really romanticize and connect to. This is what you really want to go deeper and connect into. And make sure that, you know, it's not that indulgent type spirit, or maybe not too domineering, where you're trying to have fun all the time, or trying to go too far in being an individual, because you still have to share resources with other people. You're still sharing value with other people. So that's how it be. So with the Venus traveling through your fifth house, um, with Venus traveling through your fifth house, you are desiring, you know, new ways of entertainment, or you may be getting sucked into ways that you are being entertained and fun and enjoyment, or old things that used to get you, or getting too domineering, where you're trying to bring desires that just benefit you and not to your environment. If you have Venus traveling through Scorpio in your sixth house, then this means that your sixth house is dealing with your work, daily habits, your health, the things you do on a day-to-day basis, hygiene, how you schedule yourself. So this is what you're desiring. Maybe you're desiring a specific job, and you're trying to magnify, bring that into your life. If you step in your authenticity and be honest about that desire, and imagine scenarios where that can actually play out, watch you actually bring that situation and manifest that situation into your life, that type of thing. But you have to incorporate it on a day-to-day type basis. You have to be in that state, or incorporate that desire into your daily schedule. That has to be something that is constantly on your mind. That has to be a desire that is being fixated on, or that is being worked on, or that you are consistent in on a day-to-day basis, that you are working to perfect on a day-to-day basis. This is how you actually bring that desire into that area of life. And then it's like a beacon, and you'll for sure manifest it. If you have Venus traveling through Scorpio in the seventh house, then this is the house we're dealing with relationships, one-on-one relationships. And when you're talking about relationships, this can be friends, family, and even open enemies. Whereas, say, a hidden enemy or something like that may be in your um eighth house or something like that. Some maybe an enemy that you don't want to admit is an actual enemy, because they know a weak spot of you, but you view them as a potential danger or something like that. That's not a seventh house type relationship, because that's not open. That's not something that you necessarily divulge or even admit to your goddamn self. That's something that you hold deep inside, that you don't necessarily look at all the time. That's some eighth house type shit, or that's some 12th house type shit. Seventh house type shit is open enemies. Since I know I don't like that nigga, and that nigga don't like me, or it's open enemies, where, because that's the type of relationship that you can have. So it's desiring certain types of relationships, or desiring to deepen certain relationships, and you're having visions of how that can play out. Make sure that you are including an equilibrium in these type of things, where you understand that it's two parties interacting with each other, when you are desiring these type things so that what you are magnifying, you don't kind of feel any guilt towards, that, you guys are establishing an equilibrium, or it's things that you both want. You know what I mean? Where you're not just creating harmony for harmony's sake, but you're actually checking off both check boxes for both parties. So yeah, kind of get into that. If you have Venus in Scorpio in your eighth house, then you're starting to see desires for deeper connections with your vulnerability. Maybe it's wanting to dive deeper into your vulnerability. If you have Scorpio in the eighth house alone, you're probably not someone who's scared of vulnerability or awkward moments in its right. Maybe you're not necessarily scared or not scared where you're just jumping into that type of shit, but you can handle it better than the average person. With Venus traveling through here, it's kind of reaffirming, or kind of, when it's going through this area, it's letting you know what desires that you have. It's kind of sending a beacon system into the vulnerability and what is preventing you from being um truly authentic, and what is deep inside. So maybe desires that you really want to deeply connect to, what you want to be a deep desire. Maybe it's hard to hold motivation, or with this Venus traveling through the eighth house, you're going to find that spark for that motivation type deal, where you actually start to desire things. And but you're probably already familiar with that. And if you have Scorpio in the eighth house, you're probably an Aries ascendant anyways. So you're the type of person that's go, 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 go. And you let your vulnerabilities kind of I wouldn't say that they get neglected, but you let them stay where they are. And Venus kind of brings it out where you're supposed to connect with people. So those vulnerabilities, there's a real aspect for you to connect with people based off of those type things, based off of those deep desires. There's a real deep magnetism to your energy, and it's probably because you can handle that awkward type energy, or because you can walk into your true state of being, because you can handle that awkward type energy. It's fun. You can transmute that energy better than most on that micro scale. So allowing to deepen that connection, you can really assess people through this own transcending themselves. So don't be surprised if you're attracting a lot of people that are asking that of you because of that energy. Uh, if you have Scorpio and Venus traveling through your ninth house, then you're starting to desire certain experiences, maybe even to go and travel to certain places. But it's a desire to see certain things, and you can't really communicate. And then you want to go deeper into these values, or you want to go deeper into that vision of going through those experiences. um, and kind of what you will learn, and the moral systems that you would go through and build off of it. You're starting to kind of imagine, um, and that's kind of tying into the energy that I was saying when Venus goes into Sag, because we're talking about the ninth house dealing with Sagittarian energy, where you're kind of progressing to ascend onto the higher level. You're learning how to connect on a higher level, how to bring harmony into multiple perspectives, where it's not just one perspective or two people, but you can bring harmony to a conglomerate of ways of looking at things, perspectives, belief systems. You can somehow wrap them all up and see them, have like a more of a maybe not an omnipotent, because that means all, even though we can get to that level. But it's more like a polypotent, where it's, like multiple, all multiple at the same time, where you're able to kind of combine all of those ways of seeing things, and put them into one, that type of deal. So you're kind of desiring those situations, kind of preparing for when Venus goes into Sagittarius, and you actually go and have those relationships that go and bring you to those places where you actually do travel. And when we're talking about traveling, it's not necessarily just you going places, although that very well could happen. But we're also talking about spiritual traveling. So it's the desires that you will get into is not your own typical desires, but it's a new experience that you're kind of diving into, or that you're going into another area of experience that you're supposed to dive into, or that you want to build knowledge and wisdom in. And that's kind of what you're wanting to desire to go into, because you want to build that knowledge and desire, or not knowledge and wisdom. And Venus coming there is making you see that, or feel and act on that desire, to connect deeper to that desire. If you have if you have Venus and Scorpio going through your 10th house, then you the 10th house, we're dealing with structure, we're dealing with your career, we're dealing with practicality and your role on a collective level, the role that you kind of play in society, and how you deal with society on a practical, physical level. What you do to bring about security or stability, practicality in your life. With Venus went into Scorpio, maybe you're starting to desire a new job. Maybe you're starting to desire a new role in society. You're starting to see a new status or position for yourself in the world, or you're seeing yourself and how you want to be in the world. But you are going to have to let go of whatever is stopping you from actually walking and being into that state of being. Because the way that you manifested, what Venus is trying to teach you and tell you, that the way that you manifested is being in that state of being. And that's the magnet that controls it. And that's how you're going to build your foundation around it. So you're going to have to give death to the things that aren't helping you build that stable foundation for you to actually have that status, or for you to move around in the world in that manner, for you to have that role, for you to have that career, for practicality and material things to actually play out in that way and fashion, and you get to mitigate things, where you're not behind. You have good managerial um techniques of your assets and stuff like that. This is what you are desiring. So give death to the pleasures that are preventing you from stepping into that state of being. If you have Venus in Scorpio in your 11th house, then you're starting to desire different social groups, and not even just social groups, but kind of like life goals and kind of causes, things to support, organizations to get involved in, or knowledge bases or schools of thought to dive into. This is what you are desiring, to have certain type of knowledge, to be in a certain social group, so you can learn certain things, to be around certain people, conglomerates, organizations of people, or certain professions, certain communities of people, so that you can build up knowledge, and um, see what it debo, and connect on that intellectual level. There's that desire, and it ties in with your life purpose, because we're talking about the 11th house. It's kind of where individuality dies, or where you're able to take a back seat and join a higher cause. So if you have Venus going in through Scorpio in your 11th house, you're kind of willing to give death to things for a higher cause. So if you were to find, you know, a cause or justification, or if you were to work your mind, see, this is how you have to move. If you have this transit going through your 11th house, is you're gonna have to move a little mental, in terms of, you know, where you're controlling your mind, or your thought processes, or you're consciously leading your mind through certain thoughts. Um, you can deal it where you desire, or what you are willing to give up individuality for is based off of, you know, giving depth to the things, or kind of putting yourself in a social situation, or kind of, you know, putting yourself in that more of a environment for you to not do those things. Um, how do I explain it? Because with the 11th house, we're talking about, like what I was saying, where the individuality, dies. Not necessarily where it dies, but where you're able to give it up for a higher purpose. So just make whatever your desires are for that higher purpose. And it's not necessarily bad to be on that collective group, because that collective mind could really give you that power, that boost, you know, each one teach one type energy. This is where a lot of us are getting flunked out, because when in the age of Aquarius, we don't know how to work together, or we're getting lost in that negative aspect of Aquarius where we're talking about others, you know, and this is my, and we're rebelling against each other when we could be rebelling against, you know, the concepts, not each other, or rebelling against our own internal demons, you know, rebelling against the things that are actually practically going to bring, you know, things against us. So that's the trip up with the 11th house, and with Venus and Scorpio, where your desires can get a little twisted up, because while you're in the collective mind and individuality leaves, you're kind of looking at things from everybody's perspective, based on everybody's knowledge that is kind of coming into it, and that doesn't necessarily always align with your desires. Or you can want something, or something seems the most practical to, for it to go about in a certain way, but when you actually go out and do it, it was actually something else. You know, you can't always look at things logically, is basically what I'm trying to say. um, or you can't always trying to figure that logic out logically, or just because you had good intentions, or just because you did it to bring about some type of practicality, doesn't excuse the results. So allow, you know, it to actually be directed in an area that you can walk in authenticity, where you don't mind it being being status, or you don't mind that being a representation of you, if you get what I mean. If you have Venus in Scorpio traveling through your 12th house, then the 12th house, we're talking about the subconscious mind. We're talking about the emotions of the collective, and how you tap into the emotions of the collective. This is your dreams. This is your, you know, intuitive realm, you know, your subconscious realm. So with Venus coming through here, you're having a lot of dreams, and things kind of coming manifest. But just like what I was saying before, when just like within the 4th house, the 8th house, and the 12th house, because we're talking about the combining with the water energies, it just kind of amplifies, and adding more intuition, you know, adding more connectivity type abilities. So when we're talking about the 12th house, you know, you having these desires for these dreams is based off of the states of beings that you have been in and the things that are influencing you on a subconscious level. So it's kind of bringing attention to those desires that have been hitting you on an unconscious level, giving you the opportunity to assess them and see, is this pure? Can I walk in my authenticity? Is this something that I want to leave in my esoteric bedroom? Is that where I want to store that memory, or is it in the way, you know? Did you, is it, are you being messy in your esoteric room and then you're calling it organized mess, but it's just a justification to, throw your sweater somewhere or something like that instead of actually hanging it up? Esoterically speaking, in your esoteric bedroom, this is the type of things that you would be dealing with, and what pleasures you may have to let go that is affecting you on a subconscious level that can be reflected within your dreams. Right now, your dreams are probably lit as fuck. It's probably lit and probably having some wild ass dreams about the things that you really desire, things that you really want. Pay attention to that. That's the sauce that you can really tap into to be in that state of being. Walk into that. You're seeing what you want in the dream. Kind of be in that energy and throughout the day, and you'll magnify that into your life, and then that's building the subconscious tendencies, and framework within your mind to actually allow and assess that magnetic process of bringing all of that into your life. And that's Venus through the houses, the Venus transit in Scorpio. Peace out.